them change. So I said that as human beings we are responsible not to lose hope in our change, in our betterment and reformation. If others give up on us, we should not give up on ourselves. Specifically when it comes to the topic I will talk about, it happens that we may not be reacting in the best possible way. And I may say something out of anger that I regret later. It happened. It happened to the best of us. And I give you some examples. But knowing that I should learn from that, I cannot say it is what it is and just move on. Rather say, okay, I made a mistake. I should learn from ability to practice, to implement these teachings in our lives with the salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So I mentioned a few weeks ago, because last week we talked about Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam, but last time that we discussed on this subject, we discussed that another obstacle in our way when we are trying to think straightforward, when we try to think clearly, is this power, this force that we call it anger. Anger, it's one of those key terms that has different types that Allah mentioned to it and mentions in the Quran. There are different keywords for it. For example, one of them is ghadab, which means anger. But there's also another word called ghayz. There's also. And then another word, sakhat. So there are even additional word in Arabic. But all of them talks about this sense of frustration that usually is combined with sense of reaction, that I want to do something, that I should not sit and not say anything or not act upon it. Rather, I want to do something. And this feeling is usually what makes us make bad decisions. Out of anger, we're angry with our parents for whatever reason. We end up making a bad decision about our own lives. I'm angry with my spouse. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is that you are angry is the moment that you become the subject of shaitan. You're the moment that your strings are pulled by shaitan. It's not your call anymore. Meaning that shaitan, if it's the symbol of deviance and is a symbol, the The moment you're angry, most likely whatever you're going to do is going to be in the direction of shaitan. You're going to be aligned, your goals are going to be aligned with shaitan. So the tradition is that when you're angry, do not make a decision. Even good decisions. Let's say I want to give money, right? I've seen it that you may say, how can somebody make a decision for a good cause when you're angry? I give an example. I was in a community recently. And I say this because we should be aware of these issues. Sooner or later, we have to face some shape and form of that. And that there was a dispute in this community. People turning against each other. And I did my best to reconciliate, try to talk about it, and not intensify the situation, do not make it worse than what it is. Try to warn them about the danger of what they're doing with their community, this division, this breaking apart. And honestly, the excuse is a ridiculous excuse. But the point is, it doesn't matter what are you angry about. Sometimes it's something worthy, sometimes it's not. In this case, it was not something worthy at all. It was such an unimportant matter that they are arguing about. So I tried to say, okay, let's, just one side compromise. Let's just take a step back. Let's try to move on. But one side was so angry about whatever happened that they said, I'm ready to give the money to start our own center. If nobody else is going to give money, I give it from my own pocket. We're going to walk away from this. I will not sit in the same place as these people, referring to the one that they were in disagreement with. This is an example of doing something good when you're angry. The reason you're doing and giving that money, inshallah, is qurbatan ilallah, for the sake of Allah. Allah knows best. But our Prophet said that when you're angry, don't even do something that is good. Why? Because then your intention is tainted, is not pure enough. Yourself and your nafs is involved in that decision. Why you were not thinking that way 2 months always divided, they find a common enemy, which was Prophet and Muslims. So they unified, they started a coalition, and they surrendered city of Medina. It was one of the most difficult and at the same time scary moments for Muslims. That's those that their faith was true, and the hypocrites was they were identified, because once they saw the threat, some of them start backing off, that their faith was not genuine. And Allah said, you can see fear in their eyes, that their eyes is popping out of the socket, out of the fear of what's going on. So in this battle, they dug trenches around the city of Medina. Prophet did consultation, mashwara with the Muslims. What should we do? Should we leave the city? Should let the enemy come inside the city, Medina, and fight with them inside the city? Different opinions. Ultimate decision was that we're going to defend the city, and we're going to have these trenches, dug these trenches outside the borders, outside the wall, and fill it with water, that so the enemy cannot come easily to the other side and attack us. Make it an obstacle for them. And that was suggested by Salman al-Farisi, he mentioned, or Salman al-Muhammadi also. He's the one who suggested this idea, let's call it the tactic against the enemy, the trenches. Khandaq mean a trench. In this battle, the warrior of the pagans was a man by the name of Amr ibn Abduwad. A man that was physically massive, and he was someone that was known for defeating all his opponents in the past. So we have that he was the one who came forward and asked for an opponent from Muslims. He said, I am Amr ibn Abduwad, I'm the warrior of this, of the Arab, and is there any one of you who dare to stand against me? So one-on-one kind of battle. It was the culture of the Arab at the time that they had one-on-one battles. Again, everybody backed off. This is Amr ibn Abduwad, physically massive. They've heard stories. We have that, again, in a historical description of him, that when he would sit on the horse, his knees would reach the ears of the horse. That's how tall he was. So we have at that day, the one who volunteered to go forward was Ali ibn Abi Talib. This is, by the way, agreed upon by historians. This is not just our point of view or our narration. No, it's agreed upon historically. Ali ibn Abi Talib volunteered. And there are words, ضَرْبَةُ عَلِيٍّ فِي يَوْمِ الْخَنْدَقِ, also agreed upon by Muslims. He went to the battle against him, and he was the one after also receiving injury in that battle against him. That we have that it was one struck by Amr ibn Abduwad that was so strong and forceful that it kind of pierced the armor of Imam Ali alayhi salam and injured him. But ultimately Imam Ali alayhi salam defeated him and he fell on the ground. And this word was said by the Prophet, ضَرْبَةُ عَلِيٍّ فِي يَوْمِ الْخَنْدَقِ أَفْضَلْ مِنْ عِبَادَةِ الثَّقَلَيْنِ. The strike of Ali and the sword of Ali in the day of Khandaq is worthier, afdal, is better than the worship of the human and the jinn combined. ضربة علي في يوم الخندق أفضل من عبادة الثقلين. Again, narrated by both the school of thought in Islam. Why one strike is worthy of that? Because timing. This is all kufr coming together against all iman at one time. And that strike kind of brought an end to the entire coalition. All their hopes kind of faded away with that strike. It was not a simple strike. But the story is that once he was on the ground, Amr ibn Abdud was on the ground, Imam Ali alayhi salam went to finish him. The tradition put him out of his misery. And we have that he spat on Imam Ali alayhi salam's face. And the moment he did that, Imam Ali alayhi salam stood up and started walking away from him. And he started taunting Imam Ali alayhi salam that you're scared of me, you don't dare kill me because you know who I am, you know my tribe. In other words, you are walking away because you are afraid. And Imam Ali salam told them that the reason I'm walking away from you is because I don't want this to be a personal vendetta against you. I have nothing against you as a person. I'm not here to feed my, if I have any desire to violence or kill. It's none of that. I'm here because of doing a responsibility for the sake of Allah. And I don't want my intention to be impure, that it becomes out of anger, not for the sake of Allah, but it's become a personal matter. That's why. And eventually, Imam Ali, once he calmed himself down, he went back and finished it. The point is, we say this is a story. We heard this a story. And we see Imam Ali is dealing with anger and how he's managing his anger. He says that this is becoming personal to me, so I'm walking away from this. Because this is a true mu'min. When you call Ali ibn Abi Talib Amir al-Mu'mineen, commander of the faithful, Allah give us who are these mu'mineen. الَّذِينَ يُنْفِقُونَ فِي السَّرَّاءِ وَالضَّرَّاءِ. Allah said, pious human beings are the one who give and spend in the way of Allah. And then you swallow it, right? It's not going directly to your stomach. It's a process. So a mu'min is not the one who doesn't get angry. You're not a tree. You're not a rock. You have emotions. You deal with emotions. You get upset. But a mu'min is how you deal with that emotion, with that anger. Wal-kadhimin means you swallow it, you control it, you manage it. And then wal-afina anin nas. And then you have the ability and the power to forgive. So in the case of that division, that person, I was telling him, brother, calm down. Let's talk about this. This division ultimately is not going to be in favor of any of your side. You're going to both pay additional, because you have to pay rent, you have to pay utilities, you have more and more, and it's in such a close proximity and make no sense. But anger is taking over. So do not do something good even when you're angry. Even good when you're angry. So imagine when it comes to making decisions, any decisions. The moment we think with anger, our thinking will be jeopardized. I do not make good calls because I am angry. We have a saying that sometimes that when we're angry, what happens? Blood comes in front of our eyes, right? It starts blinding you. You don't see it anymore. That's why when we get angry physically, what happens? Blood is start rushing to our head, right? We get our face start turning red. Our temperature start rising. Our heartbeat start to increase. So even physiologically, anger is controlling me. It's rarely the case that you're angry and you are cool and physically there's nothing. No. Even we lose our ability to think straight or even talk straight. So, how to manage anger? So that's the point. First of all, know that how powerful anger is. And by the way, we need it. It's not something that we need to get rid of it. No, we cannot be docile. We cannot be some pacifists who have no sense of honor. I'm not saying that. Anger is necessary. Sometimes you have to stand up for yourself. And anger is helping you. Sometimes when you see injustice, you become outraged. It's necessary. There are moments that we use anger. But in most cases, anger becomes a destructive force. I'm angry with my parents for no reason. The one that they want best for me, I'm angry with them. I'm angry with the teacher who's trying to educate me. I'm angry at some random driver who just cut me off in the highway. So these are the ones that anger is not justified. They're justified anger that we shall discuss another time. But let's focus, how can we manage this? We cannot eradicate anger. We cannot get rid of it, but we need to kadhimin al-ghayz. Swallowing anger means manage it. So, sometimes we have to know right now, what should I do with anger? First step to manage anger is to know the type of fire that you're dealing with. Do not take it lightly. Because sometimes it's not a big deal. I get angry once in a while. What anger can do, Imam Ali said the danger of anger that is not justified, it takes you to three things, that there are three dangers coming for you when you're angry. Recite salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Said, bi'sal qarinul ghadab. What a bad companion, what a bad state it is to be angry. What it does, three side effects of anger. The three danger of anger. Yubdi'ul ma'aib. it exposes your flaws. If you try to be the best in the outside, when you get angry, everything that is inside comes outside. So the worst aib, your mistakes, your flaws start showing itself. We went to ziyarah years ago. Not with our group. Again, please stop looking at people around you. I remember we went to ziyarah. And in the ziyarah, you see people, mashallah, first time, first encounters. How people are in their own, let's call it the space, talking to Allah, being grateful for where they are. There are some crying, some asking Allah for, certain hajat, asking for needs that they have. And when you look at these people, everybody, alhamdulillah, seems the best of the people around you. Look how they are connected at that moment, how intimate they are with Allah. We just waited until we got to the hotel. And it was a mismanagement of one of the rooms. One of the rooms. And the anger was to a point that there were words coming out of the same person who was just at the ziyarat that I would never imagine in 1,000 years coming from the mouth of this person. Cursing, going after people's families. And when we try to manage it, okay, just for a moment, let's figure this out. Again, if it's room, I give my room. Is there a way to solve this? Just please, we are walking distance from our existence that we don't even hate it. We even don't like it. We hate ourselves in that moment. This is the danger of it. Imam Ali said, Yubda'ul ma'aib. Your anger shows your aibs, your flaws. It's not that who you are. Part of our existence has perfection and good, and they're part of our existence that they are not perfect. And we ask Allah, we say one of the name of Allah is Ya man adhar al-jamil wa satar al-qabih. Allah is the one who shows the beauty of ourselves, and He is the one who conceals our ugliness. That's what He does. So that's the way it should be. Otherwise, I think there's a narration from Imam Rida alayhi salam. Imam Rida alayhi salam said, if Allah wouldn't cover for us, if it wasn't that Allah would conceal some of our mistakes and aib and flaws, people would not bury each other. People will not go to each other's funeral. Oh, this is the person, let them be there. Let them animal eat it. But because Allah conceal it, we are able to tolerate each other. And there's a beauty in it. He's the one who knows the secret, and that's the way it should be. That's why ghiba and backbiting is haram. That people's aib has to stay with them. If you know about it, you know too much, keep it to yourself. If you know they made a mistake, if you know they are a sinner, it's between you and God. It should have been between God and that person. Now there's a third party, you're involved, close your mouth. Be quiet, don't talk about it. Otherwise, you become a partner in that crime. You start doing ghaiba, backbiting, gossiping, now you're involved in this. You're circulating evil in society. You're responsible as well. Somebody posted something, you're the only one who saw it, they already deleted it, stop talking about it. It's not public anymore. They removed it. You talking about it is going to just make the situation worse, not only for them, but for you as well. You're so judgmental. Oh, they're a sinner. You're committing sin as you're talking about their sin. And what a miserable situation it is to be. Somebody else committed a sin for pleasure. Now I'm not taking any advantage of that, but because I talked about that pleasure, I'm committing a sin myself. وَيُدْنِ الشَّرِّ. Imam alayhi salam said the second harm of anger is that brings evil near you. It meaning make you more susceptible to doing wrong. It exposes your flaws. The second one, it make it easier for you to commit shar and evil. Now that you're angry, your tongues go out of control. Now that you're angry, you stop talking to people. Now you're angry, you stop lying. Now you're angry because to win the argument, you're ready to do anything. You start abusing people, hitting them, physically abusing them because I was angry. So anger was one problem, and now other evil is coming. Because I was angry, I hit someone. That's another zulm. Verbally abusive, now mashallah, it wasn't enough. You have physical abuse on top of that. That's the danger. The anger doesn't let you stay in one level. We see even some people go to the point of murder. Out of anger, road rage cases we have, that people are angry, they will never imagine that they would be causing somebody's death. They'll start brake checking people and causing the car to flip. How many cases we had? It leads to taking lives and hurting people. That's the danger of it. Yudn shar. The more you embrace anger, the nearer the evil is going to get to you. As if you have options. Okay, which wrong I should do because I'm angry. And the third one, Imam alayhi salam said, وَيُبَاعِدُ الْخَيْرِ. Anger takes away khayr from you. It distances good from you. The angry you get, how many people say that they're angry, at that moment they're going to start praying. They're angry, they're going to do something good. Usually at the moment of anger, we make the worst decisions of our lives. That's the power. It takes away the khayr. When you're calm, there's a moment of calm. You pick up a book, you start reading. When you're calm, when you're having your anger under control, you actually think about owning your responsibility, right? That's why the worst time is to talk to someone is when they're angry. If your child is angry, do not talk to them. That's not the time to talk to them. Let them calm down first. Because the moment they're angry, there's no khayr. That should be an approach with people who are angry. Because sometimes we choose the worst time to talk to someone. They were just fired from their job. They were just failed their class. They just, God forbid, lost a loved one. That is not the moment. They're enraged, they're in anger, in despair. That's not the moment to start saying it's your fault. You should have studied harder. At that moment, just let them deal with that emotion. So inshallah it's khair. It's going to get better. Once the situation is under control, you talk to them. Okay, let's now go talk about why this happened. How you can learn from this. How can you avoid making the same mistake? When it's too late, it's too late. So that's step number one for anger management. To understand the danger of anger. If you have $10 in your bank, you're not going to take it to a finance expert managing it because it's not worth it. It's just $10. Who's going to be the one managing my $10? It's not important. But if you have a good amount of money, then you need someone. Oh, it's a lot of money. I need somebody to manage it. Anger is not a small thing. To say it's not important, once in a while I have a moment. It's so dangerous, it's like fire. Again, in California, we know what a small fire can do, right? We've seen it. Once it goes out of hand, even the best technology and fire departments and all these airplanes cannot control the fire, cannot contain it. You know, in some cases what they did in these fires, multiple fires that we had? So, okay, let it just burn up to a certain point. We're just going to go further, do something so maybe we can stop it. So these acres, let it burn because we cannot do anything. The wind and everything is against us. Literally what human beings said? We surrender to fire, to the nature. We can't do anything about it. We can damage control at this time. Evacuation, that's it. Anger has that power. If you're not careful, can burn everything. I've known people, they don't talk to their family for 30 years. For 30 years over something irrelevant, unimportant. And you know what they do? They do a great favor to their family. Said, okay, not only me, we're not going to talk to you because we're angry, we're in fight. My children and the children of my children are not going to talk to you either. This is a blood matter now. It's so deep that even my sons cannot talk to your sons. This is the power of rage. Inshallah khair. This is the power of it, inshallah. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Perfect timing. Imagine that if you have that whenever we get angry. So, let's inshallah, maybe again I say one more point and we can leave the rest for next week. When it comes to reasons why we get angry, that's the next step, step number 2. Step number 1, understand what anger is, what it can do to you, the danger of it. Step number 2 is know what causes anger, what triggers anger, right? Because then the reason we get upset is not the same thing. We should know ourselves well to know that it's not as easy as it is, right? Sometimes our anger, the reason is jealousy. I'm jealous, and the reason somebody has a blessing, somebody is more achieved and more accomplished than me, it makes me angry. So I need to deal with the jealousy in order to manage my anger, right? Sometimes the reason behind it, it could be greed. Because I want certain things that I cannot achieve, and the more I want, the less I get it, it makes me angry. It makes me frustrated. I know I have this job, I don't make enough money, so I'm upset. That why? Because I want more. I want more, and if I don't have it, it's a problem. Comparison with others is another cause of anger. People will always say what others have and what I don't have. Always feeling that I'm not good enough. Lack of self-respect, self-esteem is also could be a cause of anger. Sometimes it's being just nosy. You get angry because you're always interfering with other people's lives. You're involving yourself in matters that has nothing to do with you. And the moment you're being reminded of that, you get angry. So we should identify the causes of anger as well. What is it? And how can we know it? Thinking about it. Why I'm upset? Why this bothers me? Right now I'm angry, thinking why I'm angry. No, how they dare talk to me this way. Is it really about that? No, it's not my fault. It's not about the issue, right? It's about the principle. You've seen that, people who get angry over nothing and said, I don't care. I don't care if you hold the door for me or not, but you should hold the door. It's the basic human decency. It's about I said, no, it is about the door apparently. You can argue about it, but apparently you took it personally. So thinking about what causes, what triggers. That brings me to the tradition from Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salatu wassalam. Recite another salawat. Imam alayhi salam said, Al-ghadab miftahu kulli shar. The key of all evil is anger, is rage. Miftah. "50 years after Prophet's death, people went and killed his grandson. Not a normal killing. Brutally, viciously, barbarically. They went after him and his family. Why? So, okay, you killed him. Why beheading? Why trembling the bodies under the horses' hooves? Why taking his family as prisoners and showcasing them in cities to cities? And we have Imam al-Hussein asked him that question in the day of Ashura, and before that, why you're fighting with me? What did I do to you? Tell me, what's my sin? How you justify you attacking me when I'm telling you that I have nothing against you? I'm not here to kill you. I'm not here to destroy you. You wrote letters, people of Kufa wrote letters, I came. Now you don't let me go back to Medina. They were veterans of those fights against Imam Ali. And some of them were the sons of the people that their fathers were killed in those battles. So it wasn't that it was a matter of Allah and no. For them, it's an anger issue. It's a personal vendetta. Your father did that to our father. We're here to settle the score. بُغْضًا لِأَبِيكَ, out of hatred toward your father. Even if you did nothing to us, your father did. Even Yazid, when they take the head of Abu Abdullah Hussein to him, he started reciting, reading poetries, saying that, oh, this is what happened, that you killed my grandfathers, my ancestors in the Badr, in Uhud, in the battles at the time of the Prophet. Your father killed my ancestors. This is the time that we're settling the score. He talks about it. He talks about Badr and Uhud, because his grandfather Abu Sufyan was on the side of the enemies of the Prophet. He was the main sponsor of the battles against Muslims at the Battle of Badr and Uhud. Miftahu kulli shar. Every evil anger, there is a root of it you can find. Inshallah, I finish here. There's more to talk about it. Just remember, tonight we addressed 2 steps, right? In order to make good decisions, clear decisions, decision that has least amount of regret. Let's call them the least risky, the least amount of risk taking a decision. We need to be in charge of the rage and anger. Manage it, control it, swallow it. And it's not an easy process, but it's doable. You know, one day Rasulullah saw a group of people doing weightlifting. Again, in that time, weightlifting was a boulder, a rock. And different young people, shabab, are coming and they try to lift it. And physically, basically challenging themselves to see who is the strongest. So we have that Rasulullah told them, after seeing their competition, he said, أَلَا أُخْبِرُكُمْ بِأَشَدِّكُمْ وَأَقْوَمِكُمْ. Should I tell you who is the toughest and the strongest of you? You know, they said different answers. The one who can, pick up the biggest boulder, or the one who can defeat more people. He said, مَنْ مَلَكَ نَفْسَهُ عِنْدَ الْغَضَبِ. The mightiest of you, the toughest of you, is the one who controls their anger when they're angry, at the time of anger. Because your toughest opponent is your own nafs. The easiest opponent is the enemy that's coming for you, because usually we have these fight or flight mode, right? That you either deal with the dangerous situation or you run away from it. But if there's the threat from within, it's like, when enemies ambush you in the middle of the night, you don't know. If our anger is lurking from within, sometimes we're not aware of it. And that could be the most dangerous opponent to have. That you do something that you said, I was not aware. At the heat of the moment, I hit someone, I punched them, I did it. At the heat of the moment. As if we're not even in charge. That's the power, how dangerous this force of anger could be. So understand the danger of it, and also the second step, understand the triggers, the causes of anger, and that will help us how to manage it. Because managing angers that comes from jealousy is different from the one that is out of unrealistic expectation. Because you have to deal with it differently. Anger that it comes from greed, the way you manage it, is different from someone that you are interfering. You are investigating on a matter that is not even related to you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by the honor of the Prophet Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, give us the ability, the strength to manage our anger, to swallow it, to be among those who are وَالْكَاظِمِينَ الْغَيْظِ, those who manage their anger. So, next week, inshallah, we will have Arba'in Majalis. Arba'in will be on Wednesday. And it's recommended to recite Ziyarat Arba'in on the day of Arba'in. We, inshallah, do dua for all those who are in the journey of Ziyarat of Imam al-Hussein during Arba'in. May Allah make all the millions of people around the world who are visiting the Ziyarah of Sayyid al-Shuhada to make their journey to be safe, inshallah, to return safely to their families, and make their Ziyarat and their efforts to be accepted and maqbool, inshallah. And may Allah give us that tawfiq to participate in Arba'in one day, inshallah, in the near future. But next Friday and Saturday is the time that we will commemorate end days of months of Safar. It will be Arba'in, but also month of Safar, inshallah. Let's say a salam to Abu Abdullah Hussein alayhi salam on these final days as we are approaching Arba'in of Imam al-Hussein. May Allah convey this salam to Abu Abdullah Hussein, to his companion and to his family and to his followers and Shia and those who love Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, inshallah. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب بلبلي امشب بویران نغمه خوانی می کند تلخ کامی دیده و شیرین زبانی می کند. روزهای ماه سفر است. ماه سفر ماهی است که ایام شهادت دختر سید الشهدا رقیه بنت الحسین علیه السلام است. این اشعار رو میخوانیم انشالله همین ذکر مصیبت باشه برای این طفلی که در مصیبت هایی که بعد از کربلا دید جان به جانان سپرد در خرابه شام. قبرش هم امروز در دمشق محل و مأوای دوستداران ابا عبدالله حسین است. بلبلی امشب به ویران نغمه خوانی می کند تلخ کامی دیده و شیرین زبانی می کند. دعوت از مهمان به جا آورده در بزم یزید و از وفای عهد مهمان قدردانی می کنند. اشک و مژگان آب و جارو کرده آن ویرانه را، بین چه با احساس طفلی میزبانی می کند. دیده اختر شمارش بر پدر روشن شده است، مه به روی دامن و اختر فشانی می کند. وقتی آوردن اهل بیت با عبدالله رو وارد شام کردن، از بین بازار شام با هلهله و جشن و شادی هرچه زخم زبان توانستن به این داغداران زدن. خارجی گفتن هرچه که لیاقت خودشون بود به این زن و بچه و طفلان گفتن. سرآخر وقتی رسیدن مجلس شراب، آوردن سر ابا عبدالله رو مقابل یزید، مقابل چشمان ای یتیم، مقابل چشمان ای داغ دیدگان، آنچنان در مقابل دشمنان شادی کردن، زخم زبان زدن. وقتی که آوردن اینها رو در خرابه شام، اولین شبی است که بعد از مدت‌ها از کوفه تا شام مسیر طولانی است. فرض کنین شبانه روز اینها رو بر شترهای بیجهاز سوار کردن، اینها رو با تازیانه و کعبه آوردن تا شام رساندن. وقتی رسیدن خرابه شام، اولین فرصتی زینا توانستن عزاداری کنن، ناله کنن، گریه کنن، برای که هر زمانی در بین راه سر ابا عبدالله سر شهدا رو دیدن، هر جا که آمدن گریه کنن با تازیانه و سیلی جواب دادن. اما اینجا در خرابه شام کسی نبود، هر کسی به داغ عزیزی شروع کرد به نوح زرایی ناله کردن. اما یه روز خانی بلند شد، 3-4 سالش نیمه شب صدا زد عمه جان این ابی، عمه جان بگو پدرم کجاست؟ به من گفتی پدرم سفر رفته، کی برمیگردد از این سفر؟ تا صدای نام حسین بلند شد، این زن و بچه و کودک شروع کردن گریه کردن. امام سجاد میفرماید هرچه سعی کردن اینها رو آرام کنن، اما بعد از مدت‌ها اینها توانستن یک دل زیر گریه و ناله کنن. یزید بلند شد، فقط صدای دختر بچه نبود که بشنون، همه گریه کردن. ام کلثوم، زینب، رباب، اینا داغ دیدن، فرصت عزاداری نداشتن. الان خرابه شده از مأوا و مسکن اینها. صدای گریه ها که رسید بلند شد، چه خبر است؟ چه میکنن؟ چرا گریه میکنن؟ داریم سربازی رو فرستادن، برگشتن گفتن بعضی از یتیم ها بهانه بابا گرفتن، گریه برای حسین میکنن. دستور داد سر ابا عبدالله رو گذاشتن داخل طبقی، آوردن زر رو وارد خرابه شام کردن. در تاریخ از حضرت زینب هر چه کرد جلوی این سربازان رو بگیرد، سر رو نبرند پیش این نازدار. باره جگرم، آنچه تو دنبالشی زیر این پارچه و داخل این طبقه است. تا آمد پارچه رو کنار زد، سر بابا رو که دید عقب شروع کرد راه رفتن. باور نمی کند طفل 3-4 ساله طاقت سر بریده مگر دارد؟ اول قدم عقب رفت، وقتی که خوب نگاه کرد سر رو شناخت، سر رو بلند کرد، شروع کرد ناله زدن. من الذي ایتمنی فی صغر سنی خدایا چه کسی منو در این سن کم یتیم کرده، بابا جان چه کسی سرت رو به خون خضاب کرده. هرچی که گفت، هرچی درد دل کرد، ناله زد. الان روزخوان رقیه از خرابه گریه میکنن. یه وقت دیدن صدای این نازدان بند آمد، گریهش تمام شد. آمد زینب کنار رقیه، بدن بیجان رقیه رو ببیند. مگر میشود طفل 3 سال طاقت بیارد؟ بدن رقیه رو همونجا به خاک سپردن. وقتی آمد زینب یه امانتی رو در خرابه شام، گرچه طفل است و زمان جست و خیز او، ولی شکوه چون پیران ز درد و ناتوانی می کند. گفت بهر دیدن تو زنده ماندم تا کنون. بابا گفت بهر دیدن تو زنده ماندم تا کنون. مرگ دیر است، از چه با من سرگرانی می کند. بهر ره رفتن ز طفلان دگر کی، بهر ره رفتن ز طفلان دگر گیرم کمک. کودک جان بر لب است و سخت جانی می کند. و علی لعنت الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. Ya Allah, by the honor of Awlad al-Hussein, the children of Abu Abdullah, by the honor of Shuhada and the martyrs of Karbala and Imam al-Hussein himself, all those who extended their hand before you with their needs, with their requests and hajat, Ya Allah, fulfill our hajat and grant us what is the khayr of our dunya and akhirah. Ya Allah, all those who are mareed, all those who are sick, those who are dealing with physical health issues, mental health issues, anyone with any trouble, Ya Allah, grant them the immediate shifa, cure and healing as soon as possible. Ya Allah, hasten the return of Imam of our time, Imam Sahib al-Asri wal-Zaman. Ya Allah, help us to be among the followers of the Imam of our time, the followers of our deen, the followers of the Quran and the Prophet and Ahlul Bayt. Ya Allah, protect us from the test of the Akhir al-Zaman, from the issues and the bala of Akhir al-Zaman, and help us to be among those who maintain their iman at these difficult times. Allahumma ighfir lana wa liwalidayna wa liwaliday walidayna wa liman lahu haqqun alayna wa li jami' al-mu'minina wal-mu'minat, for the all marhumin, for the sponsors of these majalis, for the volunteers, your own marhumin. Please recite Surah Fatiha with the salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. بسم الله الرحمن